Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Reminder of a couple of very quick housekeeping items. If you don't mind, please keep yourself on mute. Go ahead and add your affiliation next to your name on your Zoom ID. As always, if you need record permission, our pal Arnie is also joining us. Let him know. He'll take care of that. And if you have a question, hit the virtual raise hand button and we'll take your questions here in just a bit. Needless to say that it's an exciting weekend for the NTT IndyCar Series, the Hy-Vee IndyCar race weekend featuring not one, but two races at Iowa Speedway. Saturday, it's the Hy-Vee Homefront 250 presented by Instacart. And Sunday, it's the Hy-Vee One Step 250 presented by Gatorade. Coverage of both will be available on national television with NBC set to showcase each race of the weekend. Our guest today knows a thing or two about the fastest short track on the planet. He's a five-time pole winner at Iowa and has three straight podiums on the 7/8 mile oval. He drives the number 12 Verizon 5G Team Penske Chevrolet, the reigning NTT IndyCar Series champion. Has a mouthful. Will Power, thanks for joining us, Will.
Hello.
Hello. All right, heading back to Iowa. How much are you looking forward to this?
Heading back to Iowa. Yep. One of my favorite tracks. Been trying to win there for years. There's one guy that seems to prevent it. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
And who would that one guy be?
Oh, a guy that hasn't lost an oval race. Maybe that he's finished in about 3 years.
You got to be nice though as your teammate. So, or maybe you don't have to be nice. I don't know.
No, teammates are actually worse to each other on track, I think. If you watch the McLaren boys.
You might have something there. So tell me about your comfort level at Iowa, or maybe your comfort level on ovals in general. I mean, it certainly has changed through the course of your career, hasn't it?
It kind of goes in and out, I actually made, I really struggled at Texas and then made a big adjustment. Even at the Indy test, I struggled and made an adjustment in driving, and it significantly helped. And I was a lot better at Indy this year in the race, a lot better. I felt like if I hadn't had the weight jack of failure, which ultimately sent me very loose in that stint, I feel like we would have been that front group fighting for those top sort of three positions. So felt very good. Always feel good at Iowa. We have great cars there. It's an interesting race. It's quite difficult to win. If Joseph wasn't there, maybe I would feel very confident. But I've been runner up. I think you said last three races I've been on the podium.
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
I know. I'm just keep knocking on that door. So. Looking forward to getting there, seeing where we stack up. I feel like we'll stack up there. I feel like all these other teams will close the gap a bit because it is a doubleheader race. So if you're going into the off season after last year, you would focus pretty hard on that because of the points available. So maybe Ganassi's a bit better, and we know McLaren's good there. I don't know. I don't think Andretti tested there. Oh yes, they did. They did.
Yep.
They did. Yeah, copy. So it could be it'll be a pretty fierce race.
Yep, and not one but two for that matter. Let's go ahead and open it up for questions. Again, if you have a question for Will, use the virtual raised hand. We'll begin with Nate Ryan from NBC Sports. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Dave. Thanks. Will, I got one for Iowa, but first, just to go back to Toronto, obviously not the way the strategy wanted to unfold for the Penske teams. Curious, did you guys figure it out in the debrief? Was it just a fuel number you were missing? What happened with Toronto?
No, it was the fuel estimation was 2% wrong. That was the problem. We had a 2% error. Otherwise, even if it was just a 1% error wrong, we're making it. But 2% is we're making it. We're making it easy. We're on par for the numbers that they were giving me. Everyone was expecting that we would make it. So it was such a surprise when we saw the fuel light come on, which is triggered by the fuel. Oh God, what's the name of it now? God, I can't believe I'm forgetting that. But what does it drop? The there's a little canister in the car. It feels once there's 1.8 gallons left, that gives you the first indication of exactly where your fuel's at. Otherwise, you're only guessing at what the engine manufacturer tells you. Oh God, what is the name of that? How can I actually forget that? The whatever drops the.
Do we need a lifeline for this? Should we call somebody for this?
I just can't believe I'm forgetting that. Like, how bad is my mind? I can't even remember that. The canister drop. Anyway, that canister thing in the fuel tank that triggered came on much earlier than we expected, which is from the 2% error, which is just so hard to. IndyCar should allow fuel flow meters. They should, because the amount of money teams spend on building the canister in there, whatever that is, everyone should just have a fuel flow meter, because then you know exactly where it is. I think they don't do it for cost reasons, because I think it's probably around 10 grand for a fuel flow meter, but yeah, would make the strategy much easier. Is that good about? I mean, you wouldn't have that error in there. You wouldn't have the estimation of when the only thing you get is that canister full of fuel when it gets to that point, when the whole fuel cell's empty, bar that canister, which is about 1.8 gallons or something. So yeah, unfortunate. That was an easy, potentially top 3, maybe even second, but how much more, heard it running out, lifting on the back straight. We don't have that error. We're pushing pretty hard in those last couple laps, but that's no one's fault. It's just one of those things, who would think 2% error, 1% error? Yeah, fair enough. 2, but yeah, unfortunate.
How do you end up? Is it 2% off? Is that just a data miscalculation, or?
No, it's not a. Like I said, we don't have fuel flow meters, so when the what is the name of that thing drops? I know it. I talk about it all the time, but you don't have a fuel flow meter, so you get. I think it's 18.4 gallons. So you're guessing the 16.6 gallons. You're guessing. You're at the mercy of what they've seen all weekend, of how much fuel it has used over those practices, and then you can guess through that 16.4 till it gets down to the canister. You can guess. You're only guessing. So yes, we always factor in a 1% error or so. If it had been 2% to the good, then we're really lucky. But yeah, there's always a slight error, but that was big for us. We kind of have to look into why.
Gotcha. Along with what the name of that thing is. Sorry to cause so much consternation. I'm not going to ask you about it again. But I do have one about Iowa.
Is it the collector pot, Will?
What's that?
The collector pot in the fuel
cell?
The
collector drops. Oh my
Thanks,
God. Dave. How did I not know that? Once the collector drops, the collector. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Our stories are now complete. So on Iowa, kind of a 2-part question, I guess. Like, one, you said, it's so hard to win there. Dixon doesn't have a win there either. And I think has an average finish of 6th. And so what makes it so hard to win there? And are you concerned at all? Penske and McLaren didn't test. Everybody else tested, including Ganassi and Andretti. Any concern at all that you guys are going in there, or were Penske and McLaren just so good winning both races last year, you guys don't have any worries?
Well, yeah, we would use that test day on a track that we really would struggle at. Unfortunately, we used one of our tests at Road America, and the tire was different, and it really didn't work out. Which happens sometimes, but we have very good cars there, so we're hoping that we turn up and have to make minor adjustments just to, for slight tire changes, track degradation. But those guys for sure, I would expect, have improved, which makes it it'll be a tougher race. I think track position's pretty big there, because it's kind of like Texas. If you're at the back, you're sitting in very dirty air and your tires deg a lot sooner, and the guys at front, they don't. So when they get to the back of the train, they can motor through traffic. It you know how IndyCar is. What makes it difficult to win? It's Joseph is one of the reasons. I mean, he's just been very good there, just very good at putting together. Certainly was the closest I'd ever been to him last year. So we'll see if I can improve more this year.
Great. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Nate. Let's go to Bruce Martin from NBC and others, Forbes, Speed Sport. Bruce, go ahead.
Hey, well, last year you won the championship with consistency. We've seen other drivers win championships by racking up the most wins. This year, it seems that Alex Palou is doing it with consistency and the most wins. So when you put those two together, is that almost an unbeatable championship combination?
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. If you're winning and you're consistent, you're definitely going to win the championship. Yep. It's certainly, as a team, as that group on that car, their strategies, pit stops, full package. Obviously, Palou's the full package as a driver. Extremely tough to beat that this year. And I think the thing that's hurt us the most is qualifying, because our race pace has been really good. Strategy's been really good. Pit stop's been great. Just whatever. As a team, we have all struggled to extract the most out of the car in qualifying.
Also, we used to go to Iowa, and it'd be a nice little, race in front of grassroots fans, maybe 17, 20,000 fans. It'd be a nice event. It'd be a good race. Now you're getting out there. It's almost like a mini Indianapolis in many ways, with so much stuff, so much construction going on out there, temporary grand suites, big name concert acts. How much of a big event feel do the drivers feel now going to Iowa?
Oh, yeah, huge amount of money put in by Hy-Vee and infrastructure. Looks great. And obviously some pretty big names from the music industry there performing. So, yeah, sort of a dream promoter, really, dream sponsor for the race right there with Hy-Vee. Certainly lucky to have them. And, yeah, the feel is, brings a lot more people and should look pretty good on TV.
And finally, it doesn't happen very often, but if it happens again, it could be potentially devastating to the sport. But earlier today, IndyCar announced a strengthened wheel retainer nut to keep the wheels from getting off the car, like what we saw at the Indianapolis 500 this year. Your thoughts on IndyCar making a change so important that quickly after what happened with Kyle Kirkwood and Felix Rosenqvist in this year's Indianapolis 500?
Oh, yeah, that is, let me tell you, I mean, it's the top of the list of importance, is that those wheels don't go flying. And have done a great job in the past with the tethers. So I'm sure, there was a big investigation into how that wheel came off and why. So it sounds like the tether must have worked, but it must have actually pulled the wheel nut and the wheel bearing off the actual upright. So, yeah, I can see. Massively important, that stuff, like flying wheels, flying debris into big crowds is just all bad. So, got lucky there that wheel that came off ended up going through a gap, and they were very quick to investigate and make a change. So it will be safer.
I lied. I got one more question. With Palou's lead and with the schedule winding down, nobody ever wishes bad luck on a fellow competitor, but you kind of hope he gets lost on his way to the starting grid one of these races.
I mean, he'll probably have a bad race. He could have a couple of not even turn up and still lead the championship. So it's now I think everyone's just absolutely going for wins. It's not even you're not really championship racing anymore. You're just going for wins. Sort of hence what happened at Toronto, run out of gas. You're willing to take more of a risk on strategy and so on. Yep, just all about winning now. It's like try rack up some wins. It is possible to catch him, obviously mathematically, for probably a top 10, but that's a big gap. That's a lot of bad races for a guy that's very consistent. But who knows? Say you won both races at Iowa and he DNF'd both. Suddenly it starts to look a little more realistic. But yes, oh man, that's a very solid first. I guess slightly over halfway. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Let's go to Eric Smith from Race Review Online. Eric.
Hey, Dave. Actually, to piggyback off Bruce's question there, Will, these are some good tracks for you coming up. I mean, I think you won 2 of the last 3 return trips to the Indy Road Course. You know what you could do at Gateway and Iowa coming up here. Do you feel your group can rattle off some wins here and swing it for the fences?
Hey, Will, you're on mute, buddy.
Sorry. So I was trying to find the screen where the speaker was on, but it doesn't seem to come up. Sorry. Very good tracks coming up for us. Series is ultra competitive, so I really don't see, I don't see any don't see many weak teams, out of the big 4 teams, Penske, McLaren, Andretti, and Ganassi. There's just not. You could almost start to add Rahal into that now. It's the Lundgaard starting to be more of a regular top 5 finisher. So yeah, pretty tough field, toughest in the world actually, and that's why if you can win one, it's such a big deal. It's a big deal now to win an IndyCar.
And how do you feel this year, pair of 250 lap races instead of 250 and the next one 300? You feel similar race both days? Is there anything, it's a quick turnaround to the next day you can learn from Saturday to apply to Sunday?
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even realize last year we had one of them. I thought, yeah, okay. I knew one was shorter. I thought one was like 200 and the other 250. Yeah. So it doesn't really change it much. I mean, it probably changed the strategy a bit, but it still, to me, comes down to track position, running through that traffic well. Yeah, it's more of, getting through traffic. The higher the grip, the higher the level of grip, the cooler it is, the harder it is to pass.
And speaking of track position, I'll ask about qualifying. You obviously swept both poles last year. It's a unique format with lap 1, obviously first race, lap 2, second races. I'm assuming, I think the qualifying draw is on entrant point, so kind of towards the top, but is there an advantage to going early since it's like 8:30, I think, Iowa time, more rubber on track, going later? Is there kind of a strategy, any philosophy behind qualifying this weekend?
You'd have to see, because I thought about that, and you'd have to see how cool it is at the beginning, because yes, if it is a sudden temperature rise, I don't know where the quickest, the steepest slope of temperature rise is in the morning, but cooler condition does help. I'll give you that. But the qualifying line goes through pretty quickly because 2 laps, 17 set, like it's going through pretty quick. So maybe the rubber does mean more. Maybe going last or later helps. I think if you're in that top 10, you're pretty good. You always like to go after your teammates because you get the info. But yeah, so I'm at a bit of a disadvantage in that respect. I got 2 teammates that can learn off what I did. But it's a couple of quick laps right there. It's straight out of bed into the car to try drive around that track wide open. It's pretty, straight out of the box. No practice. turn up and go. So yeah, pretty hard.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate the time and good luck this weekend. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Yeah, make sure your alarm clock's on Saturday morning. You don't want to oversleep that. So,
No.
let's go. Ben Johnson, the Paddock Eye. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Will. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How crucial will it be for you guys to kind of roll off the truck well, going straight into qualifying, given that it's 2 races? Like, you're going to have to be pretty consistent going into Saturday when it comes to like running in traffic as well, right?
Yes, you gotta try balance qualifying versus getting race work done in that one practice we have. So pretty important to roll off the truck in a good spot, which I can't see why we wouldn't. Yeah, that's the advantage of testing. You're going to turn up and just go straight out of the box and do a quali run on your new set, whereas we're going to waste a set of tires getting up to speed. So, and you need your tires because you've limited because you got 2 races. So yeah, that's a disadvantage of not testing, but I expect the car to be good out of the box.
Right. And in terms of traffic, how difficult do you think it's going to be to get through traffic in the races, given the number of cars we have on the grid this year?
Yeah, I think it'll be similar to the way it's been, because it's a 2-lane track and, you know, almost a 2.5-lane track. I think it'll be, your normal, you know, if you got 2 cars running side by side, you really can't do anything. You just got to sit there. But as soon as there's another lane and, you know, it's sort of single file, you can motor through traffic. And that is the advantage of starting up front, is the fact that you've just been running in clean air and not degrading tires. There's so much more grip to be out front in the clear. So when you get to that traffic, they've been running the heaviest traffic at the very back. So, you know, their tires have degraded significantly more. And the fact that they're at the back is usually they haven't got as good of a car, unless something, you know, happened in qualifying. But so you get to the first few pretty easy. Obviously, the further up you get, the harder it gets. But yeah, that's the challenge of that place. You got to work the traffic well while covering the guy behind you who's attacking you. So good fun, very, very good fun race and track.
Excellent. Well, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Cheers, Dave.
Thanks, Ben. Let's go to Tommy T. Amarillo Motorsports. Go ahead, Tom.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Dave. Dave kind of touched on it a little bit. It is the fastest short track on the planet. Will, what do you do, if you can verbalize it, what do you do to suspend the fear factor in such tight racing environment?
It's actually, it's got less daunting, I'd say, since it's become more abrasive and a lot more bumpy, because you're not wide open. You're not like on this string with a weight on the end waiting to snap. It used to be way more physical and daunting because you were almost wide open for a whole bloody race. So it's more, it's not in the race. It's not that daunting. More in qualifying, where you really can almost go wide open. But the fact the car slides a bit more forgiving, you feel it, and it doesn't have as much downforce as it used to. So, you know, it's actually quite enjoyable racing. The racing is a fun part.
Scott Herta told me you were a better drummer than him. Is that true?
Colton?
Yes.
Herta?
Sorry, Colton Herta, excuse me.
Oh, he thinks so. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually heard him. I actually haven't heard him drum. I don't know, but we should have a drum off. I don't think he plays that much anymore, actually, since he moved to Nashville. Man, you got to be on the drums every day to keep improving, or at least keep what you got.
One last question. Back in 1968, a group called Gary Puckett and the Union Gap had a #2 single with a song called Willpower. Have you ever heard it?
The one willpower is now or never.
That's exactly it. Yes.
I have heard that. Yes, I've really. Isn't it called Lady Willpower or something?
Yeah, it's officially called, but every time I hear that song, I think of you.
Yeah, it's a real pity. It's a real pity. It's not what I want to be known for.
No. Thank you so much. Good luck this weekend, brother. We're on your side.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tommy. Edmund Jenks, go ahead. You're with Willpower.
Yeah, hi, Will. I'm sitting here looking at the driver stack rankings, and we were just talking about the championship. 3 of the top 4 drivers are Chip Ganassi. So I guess if Palou doesn't show up for 2 races, it still goes to Ganassi. What do you think Ganassi is doing over the rest of the field that has them in this position?
Yeah, they have the best cars right now. They do. They're able to extract the most out of qualifying. The cars look after the tires and they're very fast in the race. The strategy's good. I mean, they're simply the best team right now. They are.
Do you think this is more than just a Honda Chevy thing?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. No, I don't think much to do with the engines. I think the engines are pretty equal. I think the Chevy has a bit more top end and Honda might have a little bit more torque down low, but all in all, over a lap's probably pretty similar. Yeah, definitely. Ganassi definitely have good cars right now.
So I guess what you're saying is it's coming down to teamwork.
Yeah, well, they got good cars, good drivers. You think about Palou and Dixon, and then Ericsson. Even Marcus Armstrong's a rookie, but also very quick. So they got a very tough group. Really, you're looking at all teams now have got, the drivers in, anyone who's not performing is replaced pretty quick these days in IndyCar. So you can't really look at any team with the average driver. I mean, you look at, Andretti's got, Herta, Grosjean, who's very quick, obviously not that consistent in the races, but and Kirkwood, who's exceptional. So McLaren's group, and you got Lundgaard and Rahal now. It's just a very, very tough field.
So I guess your best strategy is to follow your teammate and then catch him at the end.
I think you got to take care of it sooner than that. I think it's all said and done by the last stint. Although you can be sort of caught out any time with with the way the traffic runs, but yeah, I think you need to be on top of that before you even get there. But it's, as it's not all over if he's leading at the beginning. There's many strategy plays and obviously a lot of traffic to get through. So just never lose hope, keep pushing real hard, and just being smart about it.
Well, good luck in 2 races, and I guess go for the lead.
Thank you. Yeah, will do.
Thanks, Edmund. About Ronald Ahrens from Palm Springs Life. Go ahead, Ronald. You might still be on mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good.
Here
Thank you, Dave. Hi, Will, and I'm enjoying your backdrop there with the hardware. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I attended the opening press conference at Iowa Speedway in, I believe that was 2006, and Rusty Wallace was there. They were talking about the grassroots racing culture of Iowa and how this track fit in so well, because they said Iowa had more half-mile speedways than per capita than any other state in the country. I'm wondering if when you're there, you sense that kind of fundamental enthusiasm from local people.
Will, you still with us? Oh, looks like Will may have frozen up.
Ah.
At least he's not moving on my screen. Let's see if we can get him back. Everybody can just be patient, maybe for another minute or so here.
That's your question.
You stunned him, Ronald, clearly.
Also, it's the 1-2 punch with Ed Jenks and me, both in Desert Hot Springs, California. So
That's right. That's right. All right. Let's give it another minute or so. See if we can get Will back on.
Wi-Fi has been real bad here. I don't know what's going on. It's definitely not the cell connection. The cell connection is just phenomenal here with the Verizon 5G. So
Well done. Perfect. Ronald, you want to ask your question again?
yeah, I know the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. It's I don't know how much you got of my answer. Did you get any of it?
no.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go to, when you go to Road America, Mid Ohio, some of those tracks where you can camp out, some of those old school kart tracks, you notice that there are a lot more old kart fans and very knowledgeable IndyCar fans that have been around a long time. Iowa. Yeah, I don't notice. I suppose there's a few more NASCAR sort of fans there. But what sort of grassroots racing you're talking of? More stock car or? Yeah.
Ovals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think about all the dirt tracks. Knoxville's not too far away and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, you got Knoxville close by. Yeah, I would expect to see. I don't actually because you're always just in the middle of the track in your bus. You don't get to interact with the fans all that much, except for the autograph session. But but great racetrack. Great racetrack. Sort of about the best short track you could ever have for an IndyCar. With the size of the banking and the multiple lanes and the degradation. Yeah, it's tough to get all that formula right. The downforce versus grip versus. I mean, it is very hard to get that stuff right. Like, it's very finicky.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's go. Rob Johnson, go ahead with Will Power, pitdebrief.com. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The podium finish. Sorry, Rob. Go ahead.
You're all good. Thanks, Dave. Good to see you again, Will. Got a couple of questions. You got it, my friend. Got a couple of questions for you. You're just talking about kart, and I just realized it's been 15 years since you joined the IndyCar series when the reunification happened. I mean, for some of us who may remember that, but as fans, but now as journalists, like, what do you recall about things coming back together and having the unification happen with IndyCar? And also, too, along the same lines, as a two-time champion, what has IndyCar given back to you that you're very grateful for, especially as a competitive driver at this point in your career?
Yeah, what I remember from that unification, obviously a really big deal for open wheel racing in the US. It's something that everyone had talked about since the split. So I think it was a great thing that happened. I think going to the second race first race was Homestead. The second race, where you had everyone on sort of equal footing on a street course, was really cool. You had, the best of the best as far as road and street course races. They're all competing, and it was all mixed up. It wasn't just all, the first race we did was Homestead. It was all the oval guys at the front and all the new guys at the back, like, us. I was in KV. But it's just been incredible to watch the growth of the series over the last 15 years. I can't tell you how much more quality of drivers and teams there are now. Continuity of drivers. There's a lot of driver turnover back then. And, it's at its, I would say, most competitive ever in history, simply because of parity. There's no one manufacturer has an advantage. All the cars are the same. So I think they've come up with a great formula there. And just massively grateful to have been a part of it and had an opportunity with a fantastic team, and been given the chance to win races week in, week out, and win championships, win Indy 500s. Couldn't ask for a better opportunity here in the US.
For sure. And I know you're not a fan of Lady Willpower, but I'm sure you have to be a fan of Crowded House, right?
Yeah, I love Crowded House. I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Great
Yes.
to hear, my friend. Well, best of luck, and hope to talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
All right. It just reminded me I need to listen to my Crowded House CDs when I go back to the house tonight.
It's
So
good
there you
stuff.
go. I know, man.
Oh, they're great.
Wout Albrecht, pitdebrief.com. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Well, as we already have discussed this evening, straight into qualifying, lots of or very little free practice. Is there any difference in approach in the two races in this doubleheader, given they're a little bit different in distance, or is it just simply a case of adding another stint to the strategy?
Well, yeah, they're the same length, aren't they, this year? Am I right? But
correct. Both 250 milers.
Yeah,
or laps rather.
Yeah, but there is a I mean, so after qualifying, you have to put the car. The car goes straight into Parc Fermé. What are they called? Another thing I can't remember.
Impound.
Impound. Lockdown. Impound.
I'm here to help you all day, Will. Whatever you need, brother. Okay.
They go into impound, so you can't. You race what you qualify, which is really tough because there's a massive speed difference for when you qualify. For one, you're running the lowest fuel level, and so you can't adjust ride height. So at those high speeds, the car bottoms a lot, and I kind of wish IndyCar would allow us to change ride heights before the race because, man, you're just smacking the bottom because of the difference in speed. But so you're starting that first race probably with a bit of a compromise, but everyone's in the same boat. Then the second race, you got the history of the first race to sort of understand, where you're strong and weak and make adjustments. But so the second race in general is just tougher because everyone comes out a little better.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for your question and for the answer, and good luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, time for a couple more. Ida Wood, go ahead with Willpower, and then Asher will come to you after that.
Hi, Miles Rowe is doing an amazing job on the IndyCar support bill this year. What do you think of his performances, and are you still in contact with him like a lot? Are you following his career closely?
Yeah, I still have a lot to do with his career. And just killing it. Very, very happy, impressed, and expect him to be in Indy Lights next year. And, if he did what he did this year, he'd be in IndyCar in 25. So that's the plan. And he's doing the business. That's the main thing. So, I'm excited to see. Very, very, very excited to see it.
And with your kart brand, how much daily involvement do you have that, given we've got a really long, well, not long in duration, but a very intense IndyCar schedule now. So I'm sure you don't get too much time to go to the kart tracks and check out, how your chassis is doing.
Yeah, no, the chassis, I don't sell it anymore. I think they're using the name in Australia. We're still selling it there, but I don't have anything to do with it. I've actually raced a different kart brand. The reason I just did not have time to do a good job with that stuff. So, I had to be fully committed to racing, and it just had to, I just let it go. I actually just kind of handed it over to Billy Vincent, who's high up there at McLaren IndyCar. So, and he's turned it into the MPG brand and team.
And there's the Bathurst International kind of demo show later this year when TCR World Tour's racing there. Are you going to be involved? Because I understand that some IndyCar cars are going to be heading over to that event, potentially with IndyCar drivers as well, but they haven't really teased who might be at the wheel and which chassis are going to be used.
Oh, I actually haven't heard that. I would love to be the one. I don't know what date that is. Is it during that?
November the 11th, 12th, I think,
Oh.
because TCR World Tour is racing, and they're going to do like 20-minute demo runs of the best single seaters you can find.
Oh wow! Oh man, yeah. Well, they should call me up. I want to take my car down there. I am the only Australian in this series, so I'll be really disappointed if they send a Kiwi.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, one last thing before we go to Asher, Will. So if Miles makes it to, if and when he makes it to Indy Next by Firestone Series next year, would that intensify maybe your relationship or your advice you would give him, or because obviously Indy Next races along with the IndyCar Series, so you'd see him a little bit more as his career progresses?
Yeah, I already do see him quite a bit, but
Yeah.
as it gets, I mean, yeah, we talk. You know, I'll call him and see him at the track, and he's a pretty smart kid. You know, he's got to understand how tough it gets once you get to start getting to these upper levels, because everyone that the further up you get, the better the drivers are, the tougher it is. So, and in particular, when you get to IndyCar now, it is extremely hard. So you gotta be doing the work.
Well, he's been fun to watch this season, last couple of years as well. So, all right, Asher Ferris, Asher's Racing Channel. Go ahead and wrap us up with Will Power.
All right. Thanks, Dave. So, how you doing, Will?
Doing well, Asher. How are you?
I'm good. So, with this being the only doubleheader of the season, how do you plan to keep your mind and body sharp so you're just as strong in race 2 as you were in race 1?
Yeah, it's you've got to hydrate very well. Obviously, try sleep well. It's pretty tough after a race, but I think your mind knows you got to complete 2 races, so at least some in reserve for the second race. But we're all pretty fit in this series. You got to be, because the cars are extremely physical. So, physically, I'm in great shape. So I expect to have no problems doing the 2 races.
All right. Thanks, Will. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Again, drive the number 12, Horizon 5G, Team Penske Chevrolet. It is Will Power. Will, thanks for doing this.
No problem. Thank you.
Yep. Safe travels. And a reminder, the Hy-Vee Homefront 250 presented by Instacart comes up Saturday. Coverage begins at 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And the Hy-Vee One Step 250 presented by Gatorade comes up Sunday. Coverage an hour earlier on NBC on Sunday. It begins at 2 p.m. Eastern. Of course, IndyCar Radio Network has coverage as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Appreciate you.